Still too loud?
654.
Cut it in half.
That's me at half capacity of what I previously was.
That sounds like the volume Sir sounds like to my right ear.
Okay. Cool. Let's do it.
Hey, Josh, will you count to 3 for me?
1, 2, 3. Ichi ni san. 1, 2, 3.
Is that good? Okay, that sounds
Good.
Bon,
bien.
We're supposed to have.
It looks like so you guys are streaming now, and it looks like it's working in both YouTube and Twitch.
Awesome.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, man.
See if Jared's coming.
I'm gonna go on mute and close down my camera, but send me a text message if something goes wrong and you need me or whatever.
Hey, say hey to your mother for me. Say hey to your mother for me.
All right.
What you snacking on?
Andrew brought some donut holes.
Ooh, nice.
Haven't had them in a long time.
I bought a bunch of coconut-covered almonds, which are pretty awesome.
Yeah. Almond is, especially thin sliced almonds, one of my favorite textures for things. Not bar none, but it's up there high.
If almonds, if Brazil nuts had the flavor of almonds, I think that'd be my favorite.
Yeah. I like cashews a lot. Let's see. I was looking up. You can still see my video, right?
I can see your video.
Okay, great. I texted Jared, and we will see what is what. Get my epic boilerplate, and also I need.
Hey, Josh, do you have the ability to see my list of components?
Quite possibly. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how I would get to it, because I've got the party shared component pouch file here. Just trying to see if I can find the folder that it's in.
I have a share ability, but no email. I could share it with an email that could.
It's just jsuich@gmail.com.
Oh, there you are. You have pre-populated. Apparently, my Gmail does know you. Send. Okay. Yeah, I need all the help knowing. Well, no, I can come up with all sorts of great things, but not in any kind of timely way that keeps the story flowing. So, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll just pretend that somehow in our traveling, you helped me organize one evening, so you know what I've got.
Sure. And Inkatink needs to be shown how to use non-cantrip spell components. So I've actually been meaning to at some point get a scene with you or with Diamondback or with Yoshka or somebody who's some character who would be willing to do that with Inkatink to just have them show him spells.
This would be a good night for that.
Yeah.
And
Especially
Yoshiko would be a great choice because I would really only know what's city useful.
city. Yeah, right. That's right. Yoshika travels and goes in. Hey, Elliot, just be a little quieter for me, good boy. Oh, whatever. Right. Love you guys.
Speaking of which, I'm going to close my door.
Say, before you go to, and y'all can think about this if you want. Oh, there's Jared. Sai, will you let Jared in? Yeah. Roscoe, no. No, sir. That's a bad door.
Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. I'm just going to close the door. Hey, guys.
Yep. Hey. Hey, Jared.
Okay.
Looking nice, Aaron Joy.
Thanks.
Have you seen the videos of the lady with Shiba Inu and a stuffed dog, and she sticks the stuffed dog's face into the trash can, and then she beats the ever-loving tar out of the stuffed animal?
Oh,
It's not a real dog. It's just a stuffed animal. She just, beats the tar out of it, and then she holds the trash can near the real dog. The dog's like, oh, no. I don't want to do that. It's pretty smart.
Oh. And wow. I wonder, not human, but still, what a relationship he must have with her now.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a frightening.
Right.
Loss.
Like, man, Michael,
time, right?
he hates that stuffed animal. She only hates the animal.
What those 50s PSAs about workplace safety are and stuff like that.
Right. Absolutely.
Charles is about to weld. Look at how he stares into the light. Blinded for life. He is not.
Charles will never know what his newborn child looks like.
That's right. Hey.
Good times.
7:25. We can get started, or we could wait 5 minutes if y'all want.
To wait for.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're in. Let us.
Let's do something with vegetables.
Like
Ratatouille.
I don't know. Visualize them.
Like world peas.
Yes.
I was just thinking.
Oh my goodness. That was impressive, sir. You're impressive too, but sir, I'm talking to you. That was impressive.
It's okay. Sir Robert just takes the credit anytime someone says the word sir anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
That's why he's always in such a good mood.
I'm cooking up the eggs you're like. As Johanna won't let me say.
Well, saying it to girls is a little bit different.
The frittatas that Johanna doesn't know about can't hurt her.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and start in? We don't. Excuse me. We don't have music or anything, so we'll just get started. We'll pretend. Dong. At the end.
You just had to make the noise to make the editing seamless.
That's right. That's what it is. This is The Dying of the Light, Season 3 of the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group using the Dungeons & Dragons game system as a vehicle for creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world we've been developing together for a while. You can find out more about the collective as well as the stories we're telling at the starfallcollective.com. We are back with a new episode. Let's find out who's in this episode. We've got an abridged group this time because the party has split. For those of you who are waiting with bells on each evening for the next episode, you'll remember that in the previous episode, we had Diamondback and a short appearance by Inkatink, as well as Talid and Belvari. Also in that group is Toll, who's going to be on that side of the party, we think, though he wasn't feeling well, so he's still recovering with Tekla and Lambro at the camp. In this episode, I'm Sir Robert, a father and entrepreneur, and I am the host of this season's story. With me tonight are some friends playing the characters in this drama. Please say your name, something about yourself if you like, and a brief description of the character you're playing. And importantly this time, if you'll mention why it is that you're intending to go back to Miradau. Reminder for our listening audience, one half of the party decided to stay here in this black stone emptied lake town and look for Diamondback's magical focus.
Roscoe is insistent upon joining the home party.
That's right. Roscoe.
That was his answer.
And
Belvari stayed, but the what's the call his dog?
Oh, that's right. Chekhov. That's Chekhov.
Yes.
If he is grumbly, take a second, put him in the other room. The other half of the party. I'll tell you what. While I'm going, you can talk about your various motivations and introduce yourselves and why you're going.
Sure.
Wasn't that a? Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Jared. I am playing Yoshka, the human bard. I was the one to volunteer to go back because Yoshka trusts Garriott and misses his family and wants to bring as many people as he can into this big lair we found.
Did you say he trusts Garriott?
Yeah,
Okay. Is there
but
anything?
don't tell Gary.
Sir Robert's writing that down in his notebook that on the outside it says "Think players with."
That's a song, right? Betrayal takes two. He did it to you. Okay. Let's see. Is there any particular
Is
reason?
that a song?
Yeah, King Missile.
Everything's a song.
Is there any particular reason? If not, that's okay. I'm just.
He saved our lives when we were refugees with no place to spend the night. Then he saved our lives again when we were in the oncoming dark night, giving us a place to stay. He was generous with us, feeding us and trading with us, not trying to like one up us.
Gave us some pretty nice gifts.
Yeah, he gave us nice gifts after he entrusted us with a task that was important to him. And he warned Yoshka of Simdaron the Blinding in a subtle way. Yoshka thinks perhaps now that he's not sure if he could have handled the truth because he wasn't as his dream of salvation at that time still, and the new dream of salvation was still forming. It was a dream about great fireflies.
It would have been a strange thing for Yoshka to hear something blunt. The old blood.
Yeah,
A strange
or
experience
believe or
for
something.
Yoshka. That's interesting.
Tell the
And-
truth, but tell it slant.
Your people had worked closely with the Orvan for many years. They're trusted already, as opposed to the stranger. That's interesting. Okay. Aaron Joy, how about you? What's going on with Nena?
Well, she has calluses now on her feet.
Mm.
She is moving up in the world, or out in the world, or at least physically around the world.
She's moving.
Yep.
She has more. You tread more steps.
Mhm.
You have to take 2 for our every one.
That's a good point. Yes, she has physically not moved up in any way. Yeah. Yeah. She. Why did she go for the going back party? Part of it was she's the one who heard Garriot's message. She actually, her interpretation was not that he was calling for help. It was that he was warning us in our new place because he knows stuff. But she let herself be talked into that was a plea for help by the party. And since she heard it, since he was talking with her, she feels kind of obligated not just to pass the task off to someone else. And her heart is the heart of a nurturer. She, all our audience knows of her as the last month of her life, but she had like before that where she was a homebody who took care of people who were incapable of keeping their own selves alive. Somebody to explicitly ask, come help. She doesn't know how to help, but that's her wheelhouse. She will give it a shot. But a non-trivial part of her decision to go back is, as much as she cares for Diamondback, he is not, from her perspective, he is not a trustworthy man. Call him a boy if that wouldn't hurt his feelings so much. It would hurt his feelings so much, so she has tried not to. She doesn't want him to have the power that his token will provide until he's proven worthy of making sound judgment calls.
Does that manifest as Neno not wanting to contribute to the effort? Is that what you mean there?
Yeah.
So instead, you want to go do something else?
Yeah, I mean, if I had his token, I would probably take it with me also. But I don't.
Okay. Fair enough.
I would do what I could to guard us from a power mad, temper tantruming 13-year-old in a 19-year-old's body, or however he is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Inkatink, how about you? Josh.
Yeah, so Inkatink is well, first of all, I'm Josh, and I do internet stuff with computers for a job, and I'm super into Bigfoot.
Like you and the computers do it together?
Yeah, by our powers combined, things happen.
That's right.
And I'm super into Bigfoot and all that good stuff. And I play Inkatink. And Inkatink, when you guys found Inkatink, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but there was a lot of screaming and crying and yelling, and people heard a lot of different voices, human, halfling, orc, whatever, and they heard it up in the trees. And they found Inkatink on the ground with a broken arm and in other broken bones and in really rough shape. So since that time, Inkatink has really latched onto this party as the only family he's got. And Diamondback presents as someone who is an outsider like him, and so I think Inkatink has connected with Diamondback because of that. I think he likes Neno a lot because you've heard him talk in the voice of a little girl before, and two and two together, he was actually with her for a little chunk of his life. And so he actually has that in common with Nino, although there are no children around to kind of talk about or interact around. But when Garriot's message came, he repeated in the voice of all those children things that they had said to Nino. So he spoke in the voice of the children of the village to Nino and tried to remind her that there were children there that might need to be brought back. So I think for Inkatink, he also made that little doll for the little girl that he picked up and flew back up to the wall. Was it Lambrel's daughter or Teko's daughter?
That was Teko's daughter.
Teko's daughter, right.
Mm-hmm. Her name is Edina.
Yes.
She's 14-ish year old. Just for our listening audience too, that was at the recent town Sarakan, where here in Garaton's domain. Which the way they say that is here in Garaton.
So Inkatink's life has been rather storm tossed. He's been a very vulnerable person whose circumstances have pushed him around. And so I think he sees the children of the village, he sees people in a village and the message that danger is coming. And he knows that there's this place that's at least somewhat relatively safe. So Inkatink's motivation is just to help other people get out of a bad situation. He's pretty urgent about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. So we're going to start the morning that you wake up. You went back at dusk from the teleportation circle that was in the black stone building. It was getting late. You decided to go back to the camp where, excuse me, you decided to go back to the camp where Lambrel and Teko are watching over Toll. And that evening, you come up with a plan that Yoshka, Inkatink, and Neno are going to go back through the teleportation circle with some gems that have been provided by and you're going to see what to do there. At the same time, in that same set of conversations, you all decided that Belvari, Talid, if he's able, are going to help Diamondback look for his focus here in the town and not return with you to Mirrordown. So once this is decided, you kind of split. You're still in the same camp spot, but you split into two groups to try to just strategize. It makes more sense to do that. Are discussing with themselves. Lambrel and Teko are listening to both and just tending to things as they have been doing. What's your discussion? This is the night before. You're going to go to sleep first thing in the morning. You're going to get up and go on your way. But what's that discussion?
The dragon's around us this night?
He's no longer here. He's not going to come back.
I mean, this is the last night, though. I'm just trying to figure out which day.
This is the next day. He flew off and is gone.
And so
this is your first night
on the Black Stone,
where your camp has been set up. You've just cleared out one building, one house-ish like building, and you found that larger building with the teleportation circle. And at that point, it's dusk, and you're heading back home, or you're heading back to camp. So presumably tomorrow or whatever, Teko and Lambrel can start moving stuff into that one building if y'all think it's safe or clean or whatever, or something else while you go to Miradau and they go look for the focus. But that hasn't been established yet.
Okay. Well, I guess Yoshka would probably say to both groups and say, I listen, I am not just me. I am us all, in some sense. I intend to bring Garriott back, at least for one night, and it is my heart that he would feel comfortable staying here and that we could be friendly with each other and live together here. But I know we have been through bitter surprise. So please, tell me your concerns.
Inkatink says in Diamondback's voice, Garriott is a great wizard. And he looks over at Diamondback, who I'm sure, agrees with him because Diamondback is echoing a sentiment that he's heard Diamondback mention multiple times. And he points over at the little diorama thing of the lake that he made, the little model of the lake that I'm sure he's been kind of adding to and has been getting progressively more accurate. And he starts pointing.
Cool, by the way.
Yeah. And so it's his little art project. And I'm sure I could speak for what's Jacob Talad. I'm sure Talad has picked up some of the stones and like carved on them and made them look like things and stuff. But he points and he says, home, 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 home. And he then said, how many? And so he's, conveying the point. We have an entire lake bed full of these empty houses. So.
Yes, I don't think we'll overfill it anytime soon. It sounds like It sounds like Simdaron is on the move, and we must take as many refugees as we can. If I had my way, we would go there a good day before they reached Miradau. We would pack up Garriott's people, maybe send a message to my people, tell them to come if they can. Maybe if the unicorn will come with us, have Garriott help her to message her people, take them if they can. What about you?
Just pragmatics. We do have the ability to use the teleportation circle now, right? Because we have all the stones.
As far as you know, you have a hypothesis that you've not tested from watching several different groups make teleportation circles. Your hypothesis is that if you inscribe, if you draw out the symbols and then put the stones in those spaces, which Diamondback has given you sketches for, that it'll open a teleportation circle.
And Inkatink was.
Stones. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Inkatink was there with Diamondback, so Inkatink also has the sigils memorized.
Yeah.
So.
Got it.
Okay.
So that's it. That's your understanding.
Okay. Cool.
Yoshka is just looking at Neno and Inkatink saying, and who would you take?
You said he finishes looking at Inkatink and Neno?
He finishes by looking at Inkatink and basically asking, like, is there anybody you guys would want to bring back through?
I think he starts to say little snippets of phrases in the voice of the children of the town.
Of Mary or of where I came from?
Of me, I mean, I don't know your kids. Inkatink has heard the children of Miradau talking and laughing and playing and doing games in the street. I'm sure he was Inkatink was there when the whole Yat thing went down, right? With the snake biting Yat in the face.
No, he never saw. That was
Okay.
Gulb.
Gulb, yeah. Anyway,
They got him. Yat died in the Orc Town as they rescued.
that's
Gordon,
right. That's right. That's
but
right. That's
then
right.
they came back during the long night, the false night,
Right.
and that's when they found Inkatink.
Right. So, but he still, I mean, he's heard the voices of the children, so he repeats snippets of children's voices.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he looks over at Neno.
And just to remind you all and our listening audience, the townsfolk of Miradau, I'm not going to say all their names, but just to give a quick count is about here I've got 16 listed, and that includes 5 children. Of the 5 of the 16 are children. And there's a teenager also.
I also have in my mind. Well, maybe I should ask you first. What dangers do you think we may face there? Besides the obvious one of arriving as the bell does. I have thought, since I have disguised myself as my enemy, first to find a way to confirm it really is Garriott, which shouldn't be too hard. I also, it is in my mind, well, but perhaps that is for later. Is there anything else you think needs planning?
I think we know too little to plan.
If we have time, of course we want to move not just them but their valuables, and in my mind Garriott's store of components are the greatest value. We'll need to do that with respect, of course.
If we should be prepared to destroy whatever we can't take, because that storehouse falling into the hands of the bell does only harm. But perhaps Garriott has a plan. He has more thoughts. He's had more time to think about this than we have.
Yes.
And he knows what they're facing, and we do not.
Do we know how well Inkatink? Will be, I think, the magic for this opening this portal is too great for me. Is it something you could do if you were shown?
Inkatink holds up a magic box that was Garriott's until he gave it to us to make the magic focus finding potion, and he points at the box and makes a "well, I did that" kind of gesture, and he kind of gives a yeah, sure. He kind of waves his head back and forth, but then nods his head yes.
Okay. Well, perhaps Diamondback can open the portal and take us over, and you can be prepared to take us back. I want to prepare to give Garriott his gems so that he can go a different direction if he does not wish to come with us.
I think
So-
Inkatink
I wouldn't-
makes is obviously kind of upset by that idea or confounded by it.
I wouldn't want to force him. If he has another place that he clearly wishes to go,
I think Inkatink just looks sad at that idea.
So, how many gems are you planning on taking?
um,
It's
okay,
big
we
pile.
had
We
like
don't
a
go-
big pile. I was gonna probably fill my backpack half full with them. Definitely
So,
make sure we have
96
enough for,
gives us a minute and a half
A minute and a half of what?
of teleportation circle being open time.
Okay.
if he's ready, like standing there waiting, it opens, run, run, run. You can get maybe a dozen or two people, probably 24 people, through a door. Imagine it being something like there's a door, a normal sized door open, say, maybe slightly wide, and you've got how many people can you get through it in 5-10 seconds? Right. You can think about it that way. That said, your estimate is that, excuse me, your estimate is, the way you've been calculating with Diamondback's help and Inkatink remembering some things is that it's 12 to open the gate each time, and it'll let you have several people go through for a few seconds, and then, for a short chunk of time. That said, this is something you all would have known and would have calculated. I just want to refresh your memories, but
Okay.
It would be 12 to open one for the three of you to go to Mirrodale.
Okay.
And then 12 to open one for all of you to get back here. So that's a minimum of 24, just to say. And if you wanted to take enough to do the gate twice, or, in case you're not concerned about how long or whatever, you might take extras. There are several hundred in your stash.
Yeah.
I don't think y'all have exactly counted. I think it was a pile, and the dragon did that. But if I'm not mistaken, Belvari found a boulder. He talked about this. Used shape earth. I think it's mold earth.
Mhm.
Made a hole in the boulder, put the gems in, and then made the hole back. Closed it.
Yeah.
So they're in the center of just a normal looking stone, a big rock in the earth.
I thought if I just filled my pack with some like halfway, that would be enough for us to go there and back, for Garrett to go somewhere else if he wanted, and for us to maybe leave 2 caches of them there for Yoshika's main interests are his people and the unicorns. If we can get, that's like best case I can imagine wanting, the most I can imagine us wanting to do is 4.
For teleportations.
Yeah.
So about 50 gems.
Yeah. So I figured if I fill the pack half full, it's probably like 100.
And you can
Probably
think
take half of twice what I think I need.
and that sounds fine to me. I don't mind, whatever. Think of these gems as roughly the size of one of our dice.
Okay.
Speaking of which, I'm going to grab my dice while y'all continue talking.
And speaking of the unicorns, we were tasked by the gems came at the price of rescuing the unicorns. Are we free to go do anything until that task has been done?
Yeah.
Okay. My impression was that it was urgent to him, such that he laughed at our idea of down the road. Urgent to.
I at least remember talking to the unicorn and was like, I don't know that we're strong enough to go back, and it seems like a dangerous time to go back. So we will try to get you to your people when we see an opportunity. But I had thought like we're trying to collect these tokens first, and we might need to do that so that we're in a good position to get you to your people.
Yeah, I mean, the unicorn's not a dumb beast. So if we explain to him that this is an urgent matter, one of our party is about to get a lot stronger, and after we take care of this problem, we might have a wizard with us. Those are all really good reasons to hang tight 24 hours, you know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would approach the unicorn and ask her if she wants to come or not and explain it to her.
Um,
And say, like, there might be an opportunity for you to message your people, but you would need to be there.
communication, you do the best you can to communicate that to her. But she
I'd stick
seems
to yes or no questions, and
go for it.
but I just had in mind. I would probably set up. I would say like, twitch your this ear for yes, this ear for no.
The unicorn seems to have picked up the human mode of nodding and shaking your heads. And so that's a pretty convenient way to do things. You also notice as you talk to her that some of the sounds like seem to be no-ish and others seem to be emphasis. So like a nodding yes and
Okay.
strongly so. Something
Oh, a
like
flappy yes. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
Are you all set? I mean, are you
Yeah, I don't know how better to prepare.
okay?
That's, I am worried about tonight. Like, I don't even know that we're safe to sleep on this flat rock without the hive-shaped snake covering.
Yeah. I guess I had thought it might be safer to sleep inside, but Tekel had said it's generally safe to Teko had said it's generally safe to sleep on the black rock. Is that right?
I mean, we can try it. It's too late for us to travel back because it's close to dusk.
Hey, Sai, go quickly. We're hearing all the
Hmm.
yeah. Good boy. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we're here. We need to sleep. Maybe Teko and Lambo will take.
I guess I
Take
would
watch
ask
for
them
us.
again and say, Can you stay up while we get 8 hours of sleep?
They agree to take watch, and also Toll, who's recovering well but not all the way recovered, has been sleeping and resting for about a day now, and did not go with you to the other place, and so he also is happy to help with watch.
So between Toll, Lambrel, and Teco, they can each take a watch, and we can have coverage. Yeah,
Mhm.
and everybody can still rest. Sounds good.
And I'll say before I go to sleep, I'll say, Tool, if we don't make it back, please do what you can to find my people, if you find a way. And Tekel, if we don't make it back, your people have an invitation here.
And he's grateful, and Toll acknowledges as well. I'm going to speak on behalf of Toll. All right.
Before she goes to sleep, Neno goes to hug Belvari goodbye, and then chuckles because he undoubtedly says, "Don't sleep with snakes."
Also, I just
Thank you
realized
for reminding me.
And Yoshka will sing his what I think have become common fireside lullaby. He has this song of rest. I guess I need to use a component for it. Spell thing that will help us get better sleep.
Great.
Right? It ups our thing one notch.
Tonight's Night of Rest is brought to you by Serta. Serta. Trademark pocket coils.
If you're still doing that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. You haven't needed it for a little while. That's all.
yeah, that's true.
I think Inkatink goes over to Nino and he asks her in the voice of a small child, Do you have any new songs?
So Aaron Joy replies, if I had one, I would play it, but I don't. Nana replies, oh yes. And puts her against the cheek of Inkatink and just starts humming. And Inkatink isn't exactly sure he can pick out the tune that she's humming. Like, he's pretty sure when it goes up, he's pretty sure when it goes down. He hasn't picked out the pattern, but it sounds very familiar. And his eyes blink a little more slowly.
Nice.
If you send me a recording, I can just put it in the right there.
Yes, I will make a recording of me humming tunelessly.
Just if you have any
Okay.
songs,
Okay. Did you have a particular song for that, Yoshka? Or do you want? Are you just
No.
narrating that you did a song? No. Okay. And I'm filling in our table here, and then let's do.
Hopefully that will give it, if we have a good night's sleep, the Song of Rest will give us inspiration for the morning. Just in
Hot dog.
Things are, I just don't even know what to think if this is going to be like a peaceful mission, or it's like we're going to get there and the Iron Bell will be in
Yeah.
the thing with us or something.
As Nana falls asleep, she's plotting which spell component she's going to have in her right hand, which other spell component she's going to have in her left hand. Probably a minor illusion to make it look like we are farther away than we are in her right hand, and a something like protection from evil and good in her left, just in case she needs to crunch one of them right when we land.
Sorry, I'm just getting one.
I guess the
thing.
Song of Rest and help us sleep like kids. Which is not a common thing, like before the day of the recital.
Were any of you? Did y'all eat well? Are you well fed, uninjured?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I was going to say, wouldn't there be a ton, just a massive amount of fish everywhere with this lake being drained? I keep thinking about that and not bringing it up.
Yeah. So there actually, you have noticed a lot of the stuff got washed out of the lake, and you have noticed flopping fish and skeletons of fish flopping all around.
Right.
But
As long as they don't become Zish.
but a whole bunch of the water. Remember that y'all are on top of a hill, right? On something that's the hill seems kind of artificial, right, to this slope. But even that was the ground had been generally sloping a little upwards. So this water, as it went out, created this wide, broad effluvium that washed over a huge area. You could probably go for days and days walking around and find dead fish and undead fish. I mean, it really washed away a lot of the surface forest leaves and whatever else, and has left a lot of silt and grime and stench from the lake bottom.
Well, it's zesty and it's totes delish. It's Zish.
Why don't I have each of the three of you? Actually, you know what? I'm going to actually roll for us because Teco Lambro. Give me 1 sec. Okay. So
New Zish brand fish flakes. It'll keep you moving because they never stop. Just imagine the contents of the shaker of Zish flakes are just like continuously, creepily undulating. You pour them onto your meal and they just start like wiggling around.
And I'm just trying to remember. Okay, great. Yeah, so and your song did a blessing on everybody. Oh yeah, and I need to roll for the. Okay, for the 3 watches, there were not any encounters. The nights here are quite black, as usual, but as night falls, this is one of the very unusual places. There are not usually lakes. Most of the water that you know is flowing water that goes down the course of the rivers and then little streams and other things. It's a very unusual find for a lake. You've seen ponds, you've seen down where Diamondback is from, you've seen swamp and bayous, that have been made, sort of dredged along. But it's a lake, and a lake of this size is not anything any of you have ever really encountered before. Even less so the fact that it's, to your perception, an unimaginably large city. The towns that you know of have up to around 150 people. Your estimate is that this town could have a couple thousand if it were alive and thriving. This is much bigger than you've seen or heard of, except you do know that each of the 6 rivers, this is just a piece of sort of political knowledge that people have. Each of the 6 rivers that flows out from the headwaters, if you go upstream from where people live, each of the 6 rivers has a city spanning the river. So they own both sides of it, and it's where all tributes are taken. Tributes taken by, say, Spolash or Griffith or whatever, or by people here in Garatone's domain. Sorry, let me get his name.
And by Spolash, you mean the corpse formerly known as Spolash?
Maybe.
Didn't we watch him die?
No, that was Yat.
No, we watched him get sucked away by his second in command into a way.
Into the big Katamari Damagasi tree ball.
That's right.
Yeah, he should have died, and he got sucked away.
The shambling horror.
No.
That was Vorak.
That was Vorak outside of Garatone's town, Miradow. I'm sorry, outside of Miradow.
Yeah, Spolash got sucked away in the fighting at the town of the old people.
Underground in the tunnel,
yeah,
before you filled it with fog.
Sorry, I'm conflating because I remember hearing the orc foot soldier beat on Garriot's gate and say, "Spolash will hear of this." And Inkatink has repeated that phrase a couple of times.
Right. This particular one I was going to say, just now that I'm trying to do it, here at Sarakhan, they are ruled, rather than by Spolash, they're equivalent as far as you can. Feradov. He was the no-nonsense orc that Diamondback
that Inkatink stood in front of, right?
It's true.
And he was like, "Get your bird back."
That's right. That was an interesting exchange. That was done a couple of different ways, and I'm glad it went well for you all.
Yeah, I think Inkatink at that point was just getting really tired of being pushed around. Just really suicidally tired of being pushed around.
Hmm.
When sorry, go ahead.
Upstream on each river is a town big enough to straddle the river. That means part of the town will be in Garatone and part will be in Mirrodale. Nope, not Mirrodale. The blinder, Simdron.
Cinder.
That's
Or they could be
that's a
different ones if
complicated
it's like
town.
if it's like it could straddle both, or it could be two straddling two different ones in those two.
Either way, we've got towns that are part in one god's domain and one
Yeah.
other gods. That's an interesting.
Yeah.
You know is that when Feridov takes his hordes of undead tribute, he takes them to the river. If he treats them like you've always known tribute captains to do, he takes them to the river and poles them upriver or walks them or whatever, but upriver to the tribute towns. And the same is true of Griffith, or Yat, who worked for Griffith, or anybody else, Spolash in Simdaron. They do the same thing. And your general knowledge, sort of broadly, is that that's just how it works. Are taken from the lands, brought up the river to the towns. What happens after that, who knows? But undoubtedly, the Iron Bell at the headwaters, is in charge of stuff. So who knows? That said, those are the only time you've heard of a stone city. This is clearly not one of those, and this black stone is not anything you've seen or heard of before, nor this white stone, although there's been a little bit, they had one at Saracon and such. Anyway, so you go to sleep. The unicorn agrees to go with you through the teleportation circle, as far as you can tell.
Wants to. I would say, like, what do you want to do? And let her be free.
Answering with yeses and nos, you get the impression that she's intending to go with you through the teleportation circle. Who knows? Nuance is lost as far as that goes. That said, you go to sleep, do the watches. It seems to be relatively uneventful. Lambro, Teco, and Toll in the morning are going to continue getting their rest. Lambro and Teco in particular have been tending to camp. They're, I won't say antsy, but they have a set of conflicting emotions. Obviously, Teco is very concerned with his daughter's welfare. And as far as he can tell, though you were very persuasive for them to come with you, they haven't made any progress. You all have not made any progress towards rescuing his daughter. That said, he doesn't hold it against you. He doesn't know how to help Adina either.
Yeah.
Just as here trying to figure out. The one thing he knows that is super strange to him is that you killed the Baisugen. And is that good for his daughter or not? He doesn't know. Did she just suddenly wake up? Did she die? Did it have no effect? This is what's on his mind.
Okay. Seeing him troubled something, I will say, and I'm guessing maybe I saw him troubled and I said, "What's up?" And he told me. And then I will say, listen, you remind me, I have this from Morka. Let me ask her how your daughter is. And I'll put the message glove on and just message her, "We've killed the Baisugen. How is Adina?"
It's morning now, by the way, just to say. So it's relatively early. It's first thing. You're trying to get some time. But taking a moment to do that, you hear there's a few seconds delay. And she says, and you hear the response, "I'm checking." And then no change. we're feeding and watering her.
Well, listen, we have found strange things have happened,
So who are you talking to here?
Morka.
Okay.
We have come into something of a lair where there was a dragon who drained the great lake of the Baisujan and gave it to us. There is a very, very large town down here that looks much stronger than your horn walls. If you ever have need of a place to go, you are welcome here. There is a portal circle that may help you on your way if you know the magic for it.
After a few moments, you hear back. It seems to be perhaps a lot for her. Maybe she doesn't respond immediately, but you hear back. I'll talk with Krafit and Davrat. You'll remember. That's all she says. You'll remember that Krafit is the leader of the town. The mayor is a strong word, but like Gary it was, and that Davrat was the gnome who was the wallier, the guy who built and fortified the walls. Teco and Lambro, hearing you say this, basically tell you that more or less Davrat has the complete trust of Krafit and Morka as far as security of home. So it's something where he would want to see. They just think that's what would happen. They don't know that as a particular fact this time. Well, while you get ready with the gems, you get your. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to wrap that up, I will offer Tekel and Lambro the gave me and said, this may be more use to you than me for the next day or so. Why don't you hold it while I'm gone?
And
then I'll also say, if you wish to make use of your time, when I return, I will. And I scratched that symbol that was on Golb's arm. And then I can't say why, but I think it is related to the healing of your daughter. If you can put a symbol in there while I am gone, you will save me the time of. The first thing I do for you is search for that symbol.
They take it gladly. Lambro is some years visibly the junior of Teco, and so he defers. Lets Teco take the glove, the device. So yeah, you get ready to go on your way. Now, while you guys are getting the gems and whatever, just readying yourself, Inkatink flies off Inkatink leaves with Diamondback and such. He appears to be maybe going to go see them on their way, or you're not sure exactly what. Inkatink, do you want to tell them anything about what you're doing?
I think he shows up over at camp with Diamondback beside him while Yoshka is prepping things and putting gems into his backpack. Diamondback explains, it will be far more expeditious if this one here flies all of us over to the middle of the lake and then flies back with you. That way, at least it will cut the amount of time that it takes us to get out to the middle of the lake in half. If I can find my focus quickly, we will follow you as quickly as we can. But I do not know how long it will take. And Inkatink just kind of points at Diamondback and nods.
So while y'all are readying, Inkatink
Diamondback, I would actually say, I don't know if this will put you in a pickle because Matt's not here, but Yoshka feels like he can't do the magic to open the portal. He would ask Diamondback, like, who can open it?
Y'all's plan is for Inkatink to do it.
Okay. And he's prepared. Diamondback has showed him or something.
Mhm.
Okay.
He knows what the symbols are and the gems. If that doesn't work, then who knows? But if it does, then great. So they leave, and Ingatine goes off. He gives you the sort of. He strongly indicates that he's going to be back shortly. So you get ready, and the three of you, the two of you, I guess it's going to be Yoshka and Neno at this moment, walk back towards. It's about a 20-minute walk or so, half hour to get to the entrance, up the entrance to the place where that teleportation circle is inside the building. One of the things, the forest that you're in, this area, Garatone, it's a darker forest than you're used to. Again, you don't exactly know why. Is it that things are darker, or is it that this forest is? The greens are not so much yellow and green as they are a more brooding, darker green. The leaves and the trees are very different kinds. Also, there's a lot more moss that kind of blocks some of the light from the canopy during the day. It's just a dimmer place here. The black stone, the much darker, wetter soil, there's just a lot less. It's a lot less of a forest like the ones you grew up in, or that you remember at least. Is the daylight itself actually dimmer? It's hard to tell. It's been so long, but it may be, or it's your imagination. Would both of you, each of you, roll me an intelligence check? Yeah, let's just do a general intelligence roll.
11.
4. I was hoping for some points, but nope.
As y'all are walking, you head up the street, that main thoroughfare that has been cleared some. And as you get there, you're clearly somewhat behind the others who are coming, who have gone up the same place to get towards Diamondback's bit. And you notice that some of it has been cleared away. There's been some movement in the soil, as though Bilvari were, shuffling more to them there. And as you look to one side, you see between a set of buildings, you can see actually quite a distance, for what you're in. There's a straight shot. You can see the trees on the other side, like in the distance there. But Yoshka, you would say probably 80, 100 feet away down this, what could be something like an alleyway, you see a very strange something that's hard for you to explain. Your impression of it is that it is almost like wind that you're seeing. That doesn't exactly make sense, but
Don't worry. I'm sure everything is just fine.
Did you see that?
See what?
Look over there.
And looking where he's pointing, you can see it too. It's not when I say it looks like wind, it has some strange qualities to it. One is that it's far enough that you can't distinctly see it, and you're seeing it through a gap. But it appears to be both moving and staying in place at the same. If it's in it, whatever it is you're seeing seems to be both moving and staying in place at the same time. And in that part of it, the water has run through. And so it's been largely clear. There's some muck on the bottom, but it's been largely kind of run out. And what this is about 15 feet above the level of the ground. And you just see it.
It's probably just the Nanaga coming back. I don't know about these things. Do you want to pray or something?
And give me. Sorry, go ahead. You answer that first, and then I'm gonna have a roll.
I've forgotten Omega is the same as Baisujin, right?
Yeah. That's
Dang
right.
it. I
And
thought that's what you're saying, and I wanted to laugh, and then I cringed.
Sorry, I would like for you to give me, before you do anything further, a not nature. I would like an insight check, and this is going to tell me to inform for you what kind of vibe you're feeling. Is it creepy? Is it joyful? Is whatever. So both of you give me an insight check.
13.
At this moment, Inkatink, you fly quickly overhead, finding them, and alight on the ground next to them, coming from the north, where you apparently have been helping Diamondback and are not anymore.
Respectfully, I hover over the ground next to them.
Sure. Let it be. And as a matter of fact, you've got like 2 minutes left or something of this flight. What do you want to interact with them at all? Are y'all going to?
Is that the ghost coming back?
Can Inkatink make any kind of check to discern
Give me
that?
a nature check, Inkatink.
Boy, are you sure you didn't mean Arcana? Okay, rolling in Arcana. Here we go. I'm just kidding. All right. That's a 12.
Okay. And what did you get for your wisdom checks? I'm
Oh,
sorry,
wisdom.
your not wisdom. What did I just ask you for?
I got 6 for whatever it was.
Insight. You got a 6.
Insight.
A 13. Okay.
And Inkatink got a 15 insight.
Okay. Yoshka, you don't know what to make of it. It's weird looking. With a 13 and a 15, Neno and Inkatink, it doesn't seem scary to you. It's weird, but it doesn't seem scary. And Inkatink, from your vantage point, remember it's a few seconds flight away from you, but it doesn't look to you, when they ask you about it, you're able to see, it does not look to you like the Baisugen looked.
I think Inkatink is going to count. What was that?
Can we afford to leave a mystery unresolved? We're trying to flee and we're on a time limit. I mean, we're not trying to flee. We're trying to hearken to the rescue. But we're on a time limit.
Well, it's just a minute.
Inkatink, how close are they to the place where the teleportation circle is?
Very close. It's 30, 45 seconds walk to get to the entrance of it. Y'all are basically around the side of the building, looking down an alley.
Inkatink holds up his finger to his beak, squats down, and uses minor illusion to make a little miniature scene of Nino and Yoshka crouched down, Inkatink flying over the swirling wind figure, leading it away. Inkatink, Nino, and Yoshka creeping around the corner and going over to the teleportation circle, and then Inkatink showing up, and then all of them leaving together. So that's Inkatink's attempt at communicating a plan.
Brave friend, are you willing to lead him away without any backup?
I think he says, "Honey, that's what I do."
And he's got about a minute and a half of flight left.
All right, try breathing it in too while you're at it.
Inkatink's eyes get really wide.
Unless it seems bad to you.
And do you go?
Yeah, I think Inkatink, hearing not protest from those two, zips off, flying
Yeah, we'll
right over this thing, and then he's
Okay.
going to fly over it at only like 30 feet per round at like half speed and try to
Yeah.
get it following him, and then he's going to try to make some stealth checks to duck down between the houses and try to lose it.
So it only takes you about 15 seconds to get to it. It's relatively close-ish, and you fly over it. Here's what you see, Inkatink, and you guys don't see this, but you can hear, and it'll convey somewhat when it gets back. At first, it's very difficult for you to understand what it is you're looking at. It almost looks like a person to you, except a person who's kind of smeared over a significant distance. The streaks and the sort of elongated streaks of airy translucence stretch about a third of the way towards the wall, and a good 500, maybe 800 feet of stretching, and it seems to be going through the black stone, out the other side of some black stone, and as though it's being, and it has motion as though the bits of it are going towards the town center. It seems
Inkatink,
to completely ignore you.
Inkatink freezes for a sec, stares at it really, really intently, and makes a, goes, takes a mental image of the scene, and then
Give me
go
Give me
ahead.
an investigation check
Okay,
as you're taking that mental image.
it's an 18.
Okay. Inkatink, you fly around and you actually look down the length of it instead of directly over it. It looks like a long streak below you.
Right.
But as you go in a circle and you look down the length of it from the outer wall, you recognize it plainly. It is a sort of strained and, let's call it, emotional form of Adina, Teko's daughter.
Whoa.
She seems to be reaching, straining for something, and what transparent, and it's as though tendrils of her, ephemeral and ethereal, are being pulled in the direction of the white stone.
I think Inkatink gives a whistle that after, weeks, months of traveling with Inkatink, both Yoshika and Neno would immediately recognize if they hear it. You tell me, you're God in this situation, but or physics rather. But Inkatink is going to alight in front of her and kind of hold out his hands where she's reaching to see if she can see him and if it's possible to have any kind of physical interaction with her at all.
Neno, you recognize Inkatink's whistle as a, come, all good, or something like that. Inkatink, you're able to alight, and like I said, this form is being pulled generally towards that white stone and kind of at a downward angle. If you alight on a nearby top of one of the smaller buildings, you're more or less directly in front of her. It's a one-story building near you, and you won't be in the muck. You can go to the muck too, but from there you can see her.
Whatever her level is, yeah.
Is she moving and grasping toward the white stone, or is she moving away?
She's moving away
with struggle on her face
towards the general direction of the southwest.
So she's trying to get back to her dad.
just west of the entrance.
somewhat west of the entrance. She seems to be reaching. It's not so much struggling, it's just this like slow reaching with a sort of pained look on her face, as though she's running into the wind or something, just straining towards something. She's moving very slowly, and you can't tell if she's making progress or not. And it's clearly, obviously, not her, right? I mean, it's not her body they are doing that.
It is some sort of ethereal, spectral, arcane form of her.
Neno and Yoshika, are you going to go towards?
Yeah, if he whistles us to him, we'll go down.
Absolutely.
Okay, you go. You see the same thing. You all saw her, her unconscious form. You recognize this, and there
Okay,
you are.
let's go tell Tekel. Maybe we should bring the body here. Get them back together, or maybe Morka will know what to do.
Good idea.
So I'll just turn.
So we.
I'll just
walk,
turn
right?
to go do that. Probably at a faster jogging pace because I feel.
Yeah, and Inkatink, you're now with them. Your flight has ended for the day.
But I'm in
What do
front of
you-
her. Did she ever seem to see me when I landed in
No.
front of her?
No recognition for any of you.
Okay.
You, as you stand there, she doesn't even. It's not even recognize. She just doesn't respond at all. She seems
Sure.
to be looking into the distance or focused on who knows what,
Right.
reaching for who knows what. Doesn't seem to be part of the town. Anything in front of her. And also from the side, remember, this form of hers like stretched out for hundreds of feet. From the side, it just is these long tendrils of color and shape. But only when you kind of come to the front, it sort of all takes that form of Adina.
Like one of those perspective art
I'm
exhibits.
just gonna try to
Should.
run back quickly, tell Tekel, and then be like, "Hey, can you sort out with your people? We're gonna try to
Yeah,
save
we
these other
need to leave
people."
it in his hands.
Yeah.
Bring him to see the front of her so he knows what is the situation here.
Yeah, we could bring
And
him
then-
back and point it out specifically so he can point it out if they decide to come.
And so you do. In all, this has set you back, but this has cost taken about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes of, let me see. Yeah, about an hour and a half of time, which is fine. I mean, this is an integral part of your mission, but here you are. You show Teko what's going on. He has no more clue what to do than you, but at least he has the glove and he'll see what he can see. And you show them how to make their way back to the entrance and then get back to the place. Would you like to leave them with any instructions about moving camp? If they moved camp, they would be very much closer to Adina.
Oh, yeah. I assumed last night we would tell them about the hut that was cleaned out enough to be in.
Yeah, they're happy to do that. Okay,
To be
so-
closer to her. And while while Yoshka and Neno are getting Teko and Lambrel, showing them where Adina is and all that stuff, Inkatink is going to go ahead and set up all of the runes for the teleportation circle. He's not going to put the gems in, obviously, but he'll have all that ready by the time the two of them get back. It's only 10 minutes, so whatever minutes worth of time it takes to get it right. But that way he's got plenty of time to do it and make sure it's absolutely perfect. So,
okay. They get back and the unicorn comes with them. She's been doing something in the forest for a little bit, but has come to join you. It is now the unicorn, Neno, Yoshka, and Inkatink. Sorry, I'm waiting for the doors. It is now the unicorn, Yoshka, and Inkatink standing in this grand room. So to remind you, the room is large, 50 feet by 50 feet, say. In the center, it's a big, great room.
It's like bigger than Mirrodale.
It's a very large, it's a very large room, 2 stories tall. Mirrodale's probably bigger than that.
Okay.
But it is a big room, bigger than this one that we're in by a fair bit, maybe twice the size.
I was gonna say my impression of Mirrodale was that Mirrodale was like maybe several football fields at least, or at least one.
It was room for 12.5 people to live with little houses and a path.
Okay.
So
So
like a baseball infield.
Could it be a cricket pitch? I need this to be in terms of a sports field.
Yeah, it needs to be sportsified.
These doors are very small and balls keep rolling through them.
so it's an above ground pool. Um, so, you get back in the center of this room is this 15-foot-ish ballpark diameter circle. Inkatink has made holes all the way around that need to be made. At least he believes they are all that needs to be made. You seem to be happy with that. We'll see what happens. Remember that there's this these black pylons coming from the ceiling, these arched pylons, with one missing, that form a kind of cage around this circle. Your impression of that, like the one at Mirrodale, is that should you come into it, it would be a close. One of them is missing, which is clearly an opening into this section. Inkatink has the gems, some random assortment of gems, to the best of his ability, mimicking what he has seen other people do,
Which is considerable.
which is very considerable. Tell me what this looks like as you are ready to go in. Where are you standing? What are you doing? What's what?
I am picturing this like Yoshka is standing right up like half a foot from the gap in the missing pylon.
Half a foot in which direction?
The outside the good question. I don't know how these work. Do people stand in the circle and then put the stone in and poof, it's on? Or do they start it up and then zip into it?
Inkatink and Yoshka, do you want to describe what this would look like?
I don't know how they work, so I would follow his lead, but I would be getting out a rope.
Both of you actually saw Garrett do this. A swirling black mist forms in a ball in the center, as though it's like a snow globe. It's a sphere resting on the 15-foot circle. And when that happens, in your limited experience, from any perspective around the circle, it appears to be a tunnel going into the distance.
We go in and we go out.
That said, if you have not seen anybody stand inside the circle while that forms, there is about a 5-foot wide gap between the circle and the stone, black stone cage thing.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go inside the cage, but outside the circle. And I'm just going to be like negative a half inch from Yoshka.
All right.
Inkatink.
Yoko will hand her some rope and say, I know Toll had some gain when he was lost, but and that's all.
Yeah, no, Inkatink definitely takes up the rope and holds on to it and, hands the other part of it to Neno in a take this kind of gesture.
And Neno ties the tail of it into a circle that could fit over the unicorn's neck, but she doesn't try and put it over the unicorn's neck. She just holds it up to the unicorn's face, and the unicorn, I assume, grabs it with the teeth.
The unicorn
Issues it
makes a
entirely.
sound like and shakes its head.
Okay.
That's unicorn for heck no techno.
It's not like a strong negative. It's just you interpret it as something like a no thanks. Sorry, and I'm looking for one thing.
So is Bono.
What is the? Sorry, I'm looking for something in my Google Drive.
I think he's still looking.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so Inkatink, you go do your stuff. I'm listening. What are you doing? You're all around the circle.
We're going through the tunnel.
It's not formed yet. That's what
Yeah.
would happen.
All but one
What
of the
you should
gyms.
expect to happen if it all goes well.
All but one of the gyms has been placed. Inkatink looks around at everybody. Everybody's either holding on to the rope or is a horse and doing whatever they want. And he places the final.
Nino is really worried that and like mumbles this that this portal is going to take us into the land of the Baisujin, and because she's thinking maybe that pylon that was broken is how that one Baisujin got into this area, teleported in, was meant to be trapped but busted out, and so she's like, I can't even say she's coping. There are tears. Her hands are shaking. She's a mess.
Does she say that, or does she just sort of convey it with a glance?
Yes, she conveys it with a no. She's she's mumbling something like, "No, no,
All right.
And now that she said it, the others are like, "Oh yeah, good point. This could be."
Inkatink?
Inkatink is so focused on finishing this ritual. I don't think he even notices Nino's whole deal, and he slaps that final gem down and looks up at the center of the teleportation circle.
And nothing happens.
Well, I've had fun playing D&D with you guys. I failed. I failed you. I clearly don't know how to play this game. I'm not good at this. So
And then something happens.
I'm going to go play D&D Seppuku, and I'm totally redeemed. I knew it. I knew it all along. You're welcome. I'm just happy to be here and make the dream happen for all of you.
Unlike the teleportation circles you've seen before, which were some of you saw, actually none of you saw the ones at the Dryads. But the one you saw at Miradau, outside Miradau, as you left Miradau, a black mist that you're very familiar with that is all over the forest swirled around and came up into this ball. But in this case, that's not exactly what happens. The mist forms more slowly here, coming from, you're not exactly sure where, but you think perhaps overhead through the top of where this cage is or something. But it forms much more slowly. It does start to condense, floating in a small, maybe 6-inch sphere, about 8 or 10 feet above the center of the circle. And it rotates and rolls and gets bigger and bigger until it becomes the shape that you recognize. At some point, as you're looking at this rotating, roiling ball of mist, the thing that you saw before, which is that swirling, becomes a sort of clockwise swirl that becomes a vortex away from you, creating a path. And each of you sees, looking into it from your vantage point, that each of you is standing at the dead center of that path. You may walk in at any time. The unicorn immediately trots in.
I was going to say, Inkatink, the moment he sees that it's traversable, he charges in.
Into the future.
And
Not
Nana
to
was
the past.
prepared to charge in, but she accidentally, from the rope that she tied around her waist, she accidentally got leapt forward about the first yard.
You walk forward, and as before, the one time you previously remember, there is swirling mist. You are, now that you're in it, you don't appear to be in a vortex of this mist. It appears more like a tunnel as you've gone in. And you walk about, 30, 50, 100 feet. Too long for the ball. And you can tell that if you glance over your shoulder and look behind you, the mist has ended, and there's a closing swirl behind you.
Don't you put that on me? I'm not Lot's wife. What am I, unfaithful? What am I, faithless?
And you turn into a pillar of mist. No, you're on something firm, but it's not hard, and as best you can tell looking down, you're on the mist or something. You don't know what. But you don't feel unstable. It's like what you felt before. There is a general absence of anything. You can see it's as though in this place, the mist isn't purely black, but rather gives off a faint enough light that with so much of it swirling around you, you can see each other. There's a little ambient light. Everybody, roll me a d20.
As we go in, I'm going to motion to offer to put Nena on my shoulders.
Okay.
Are you game for that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, she would be. 7.
18?
2.
Okay, stand together.
Yoshka, y'all are walking through, and you hear, as you're walking, this faint something. You're with everyone. You can't quite make it out, but it sounds like your name. Yoshka. Yoshka.
What is it?
I didn't say it.
What?
Your friends don't seem to notice. It's coming from somewhere to your right, as though through the mist, past it.
You didn't hear someone call my name?
I don't hear anything. There's nothing here.
Yoshka.
I think Inkatink kind of jumps up, grabs Yoshka by the front of the shirt, and just kind of pops him in the face. Doesn't like haul back and slap him Will Smith style, just gives him a little pop and kind of like shakes his jacket around and does his fingers on his eyes and his fingers at Yoshka, fingers on the eyes, and he points down the tunnel, and he starts dragging Yoshka down the
I don't
tunnel.
know. What if it's that man again? He was friendly.
Yoshka.
Yes?
And Yoshka, roll me an insight check. Insight is, just to give you a sense, in D&D, insight is a wisdom check, and it lets you, it's your sense of the motivations and true intentions of another person. Doesn't mean you're right. It's how good you are at judging that. So roll me an insight.
13.
Okay. You don't feel strongly about it, but it doesn't seem ominous. It seems odd that they can't hear it. There is something interesting, or maybe compelling is a little too strong of a word, but you do feel, I'm going to say this way, I'll let you interpret this how Yoshka would interpret this, but you feel like you should go. And that has kind of a moral weight to it almost.
Okay.
But again, I'll let Yoshka do it. They don't have any idea what you're talking about.
So on a scale of titillated to tantalized, a little more tantalized.
Listen, fair unicorn. And then Yoshka kind of goes while he gallops Nano up on his shoulders. Look, fair unicorn. This is how we do it to each other.
But
It's
looking
fun.
around, you can't find the unicorn.
Oh, no!
You're an
Okay.
evil man.
I think we should go. It went We have so many enemies and so few friends. It would be so likely to be an enemy, but so helpful to be a friend.
Go where? This is a single tunnel.
Let's go this way.
Inkatink makes a grapple move on Yoshka and goes to like take him at the knees and tries to like form tackle him.
And Yoshka, you were doing what as he does that? You say, let's go this way. What?
So let me just clarify. Does it feel like a tunnel, or does it feel like I'm walking through blackness? Some
You
direction. I don't
feel
know.
like you're in a swirling tunnel with some ambient light. You can see each other. You know which way to go. And you hear this and feel like you should try to exit through the wall of this. Or, the mist of this.
So can I make an attack roll now?
let's hear what he's doing.
Yeah, I was turning aside to pursue the voice.
Okay. And you do that?
Yeah.
You've got Neno on your shoulders?
Yeah.
Okay. Inkatink. Let me narrate this way. Neno and Inkatink. Neno, sorry. You're on Yoshka's shoulders. Yoshka, you've got your hands on her. Like I get she in like a piggyback ride, not
Like with
piggyback.
kids. Yeah.
And so you've got your hands on her ankles, or approximately, and are walking forward. She's secured. Inkatink. Sorry, I'm trying to see if that's somebody saying like, "Hey, the thing is missing." I don't know what those are. It might just be work things or something. Okay, Inkatink, you see Yoshka move towards the edge of the mist. Now, there's no edge. It's not a sharp edge. Obviously, it's misty and kind of walking into it. But he gets that he's sort of in there, and you can see him. Make whatever roll you would like to make to do whatever you're doing.
Okay. I think I'm about to roll a d20 here. I'm going to take a Matt Talamini approach to the situation. And on a 11 through 20, on a 1 through 10, he's going to try to tackle Yoshka and drag him out the way that they were intending to go. And on an 11 through 20, he's going to realize they've got only each other in this world, and whatever Yoshka does, at least the three of them should stay together. And that's a 5. So I think he just runs and he, throws his arms around Yoshka's waist, and he starts trying to drag him towards the exit of the tunnel that they've been heading towards.
So here's what happens. Inkatink, you see Yoshka with Neno on his shoulders make a right angle turn straight at the wall and walk forward. And as the front of him touches that mist, you're only a few feet away from him anyway. You reach out and lurch for him. And Neno, standing next to you, says, "Where did he go?"
Dang it.
Yoshka, you take a step in to this mist and are a little surprised. Neno seems to have hopped off your shoulders. Looking around you, are in the mist and don't see her. Inkatink, as Neno says to you, where did he go? You find yourself falling into the edge of this mist where Yoshka you thought was, but are unable to push through. It's got a kind of resistance to you. In modern language, it's almost as though a magnetic sort of repulsion where you can't, it's not hard, it's just you can't get further.
He immediately grabs her hand. He reaches out and grabs her by the hand.
What I'd like for Neno, for Aaronjoy and Josh, you two to do is let me have about 5 minutes with you not listening to Yoshka, to what's happening with Yoshka.
Do you want to just go ahead and start the 10-minute break, and Aaron, Joy, and I will just go ahead and leave
why don't
now?
we start the 10-minute break, except for us? Is that all right?
So it'll be a 15-minute break. We'll start back up at 9:15.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
And just take your headphones out or whatever.
All right, I'm out.
Good job at evoking conflicting emotions.
Thanks. That's all on the wrist.
You gotta start with one strong emotion at once.
Ellie, I'm going to do something with him, okay? So I need you to relative quiet. Deal? Thanks, great kid. All right.
You guys still go?
We are still going.
10-minute break?
10-minute break,
Sweet.
but we're still doing content. We're just we're doing content for only Yoshka and the DM.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll butt out then.
Okay. Sounds good. Just saying. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Your skin, your hand feels cool as it passes through the mist. And on your skin, it has this cool but not damp feeling. It meets no resistance. And as you emerge inside, you can still hear your friends chattering behind you. You're not sure what it is. And you step through the tunnel side. For a moment, you're surrounded by the mist, disoriented and a little dizzy. Not sure what happened. But it passes quickly. Sorry, hold on. I need you to go ahead and go for me, okay, good kids? If you need something, grab it quickly, Simon. I love you, good boy. Hey, thanks. It's okay. You're doing great. Don't worry about it. All right. Don't come back through, okay? Where are you going, Ellie? Okay. Sounds good. All right. For a moment, you find yourself surrounded by the mist. You're disoriented and dizzy. You're not quite sure how Neno jumped off without you noticing, but it passes quickly. You seem to be floating in a formless void, surrounded by a swirling, glowing light with no apparent source. It fades into the relative darkness all around you without any trace of edge or shadow. You appear to be standing on an immense gray floor, maybe stone of some kind, and you feel a synesthesia invading your mind and reshuffling your senses. Above you, everything is the same obsidian color as the ground, and you can't find a horizon anywhere. The faint taste of violet phosphor causes you to smack your tongue a few times. You hear the same voice again, slightly clearer. Yoshka.
Here I am.
You can't where it's coming from, or maybe you can, but you can't seem to get a sense of direction in this place. You take another step and are following a road at the top of a mountain ridge, a thick gray mist, distinctly unlike the dark mist that usually swirls around the floor of the forest. To your right and left, the faces of the ridge drop off quickly on each side. About 100 feet below, you see the tops of trees. Distant valleys are spread out below you on both sides. You walk a bit further ahead, and for a moment, you almost remember a tall ridge with valleys, but you let that idle imagination drift away as you continue to enjoy your pottery mug of ale, reclined against a familiar oak tree in the fertile town square. It's a cool day, and you can't quite see the tops of the trees through the gray mist overhead. There's music playing somewhere, and small groups of people are dancing in lines. You smile, relaxed, and take an extra long time to drain the last of your mug. You close your eyes as you enjoy the taste. You open your eyes slowly and stretch. You're having some kind of dream about dancing? I don't know. But the dream slips away from your mind as quickly as it came, and you get up from the hewn wooden bench you were laying on and look around the room. Your feet touch down on a similarly hewn floor, and you stand up. A broad aisle runs the center of a small hall. Light of every color streams through the walls of the hall. The walls seem to be inset with some kind of gem or magic panels or you know not what, making ornate patterns and shapes out of the illuminated panels on the walls. The hall is dappled with greens and blues and reds and oranges and every other color as light spills into the room. An old man sits on a raised section of floor on the far end of the hall.
I was hoping it was you. I sit up and approach him.
He is, as you get closer, very old.
Hello.
Hello.
Is it you that called me?
Well, it's hard to say.
Well, do you want me here?
Well, my father told me to call you here.
Good. I am here. Did your father call my friend as Toll?
Everybody hears their own call.
Yes. What can I do for you?
No, not at all.
Oh. What can you do for me?
Oh, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, to choose. And your friends are looking for you.
Yes, they must be.
There, as he says it's time to choose, he makes a couple of motions outward with his hands, and you see sitting on the edge of the raised platform several things. So you don't know a better way to say it. There's just some random bits. Looking briefly, you see what appear to be a set of sturdy leather leggings with small brass bells sewn down the outer seam of each leg, about the size of a grape each. The waist of the leather leggings has a belt fixed. You also see a fine handkerchief of bright. It looks perfectly pristine and new, without crease or fold or smudge. Made of a similar material is a linen sash. It's a cream color with intricate embroidery all along its entire length. It seems like it's big enough to wear over your torso or even under your clothing. It's a chest sash.
Who are these for? Me or?
Well, that's not for you to know, but you may know who one is for.
Yes. May I choose one?
It is the time.
Can you tell me about them?
Sure. Well, let's see here. And he indicates towards the leggings. These you can wear on your legs or maybe somewhere else. And he indicates the handkerchief. This one's white, very white. And then towards the sash. This sash has intricate embroidery.
I chuckle at him. Yes. That I agree. Now, can they help me in ways that I cannot now see?
Well, what can you now see?
Let's see. Can I cast Identify or Detect Magic? I see the forms as you showed me, but I know magics are not so readily seen.
Well, then, if you don't see much, and maybe they can help you, then maybe they could help you in a way you don't see.
Yes.
Your friends are searching for you.
And you are being generous. Clearly, I should choose. The leggings, the handkerchief, or the sash? Well, and I look at the leggings again. Can you just describe them one more time?
They are a set of sturdy leather leggings with small brass bells sewn down the outer seam of each leg, little ding-ling-ling-ling bells. They're about the size of a grape, and the waist of the leggings has a belt affixed to it. Upon closer inspection, the belt has a set of symbols tooled into the leather.
These are fine leggings. I would wear these at a festival, at a performance. And this handkerchief.
Would you like me to describe it again?
Yeah.
It's a fine handkerchief of bright white linen. It's not glowing, it's just really clean. It looks perfectly pristine and new, without crease or fold or smudge.
This would be fit to comfort, oh, I would say, even the fair unicorn we have met. And this sash, let me see.
It's a fine linen sash. It's cream color, not like the linen of the handkerchief. It's a normal but finely made sash. It has intricate green embroidery along its entire length. It appears you could wear it on your torso, it's about that size, or either over or under your clothing.
Okay, and has Yoshka seen people wear a sash before?
Yeah, it's not at the very least, you've seen a bandolier. Probably you've seen it as an article around some people who might wear a toga or something like that. It's almost like a belt, but it's worn over a shoulder. It's not super common, but it's not uncommon. It's not rare.
And this sash, well, I do not know what it would be for, so I think that is not for me. The leggings seem most to my liking, but now is not a time for dancing, and there are many who need comforting. I will go with the handkerchief.
Well, I'll tell you who it's for.
Very good.
Since you wanted to know, I told you one item you could know who it was for.
Ah,
You've picked the handkerchief. Good news. It's for you.
you joke like a very young man. Or perhaps like the old dragon I met.
Well, it's time. Your friends searching for you. But let me tell you one important thing.
Please.
My father knows your father.
Hmm.
Your father is well, but may not be for long. If you try, my father says you can find him.
Thank you. Yoshka says, somewhat choked up.
He indicates a door, just a regular old door off by the side of the room, and you walk to the door, and he's just he hasn't gotten up. He's, when I say old, you've never seen a person this old looking, but not frail, just wrinkly and such. And he says, "You may leave at any time. Just go through the door."
Thank you. And what shall I call you in my songs?
My father also says to tell you, don't be afraid of the death ahead. There is life in the death if you can bring yourself to make the harder choice. And you can call me Morris.
Thank you, Morris.
Do you go through the door?
Yeah.
And go through the door you do. Josh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, we're back. Here is Aaron Joy.
So I
Did
know
you
your
hear-
family was waiting for us to stop recording so they could get access to
Who what? What?
your family,
So they can do what?
get access to the kitchen and stuff. They've been waiting for a real break to come out.
No. Sure. Let me go tell them.
Can I take a pit stop too?
Yeah.
How are you doing, Josh?
Hello. I'm going to grab a snack and not going to grab the last trophy because someone else is going to.
Yes, I think we are still recording, but not story. It just happens to be still recording right now. FYI, your words are captured.
Dad usually cuts this part out.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't be good for the titles.
Yeah, we are still recording, but no, not this one.
Is that live?
It is.
Oh, it's okay. A bunch of people, well, not like, but like a lot of people are going to be able to, oh gosh, it's this son.
I would guess we have about 32 million viewers. Listeners, viewers. I'm very bad at guessing, but that's my guess.
How many do you actually have?
Probably 3.
I like that. I like that you have a small amount because most, because like her mobile beginnings.
Mm-hmm. My
Like-
second favorite kind of beginnings.
What's your favorite kind of beginnings?
Auspicious.
Nice.
Hey. Snack tomorrow. Charles got one of his first non-subscribers that I doesn't know.
That's awesome. Good for him.
He has like 12 subscribers now.
That's
Two of them are his different accounts.
Okay.
One of them is, and the rest of them are like family members or friends.
Nice.
But like, you know, I haven't spelled it wrong, and I think that's so funny because when you spell it right, there is another channel, and it has one video, and it's not even
Okay.
because I spelled it wrong, right?
Hey.
Wrong. But
Can I show you the cover of this journal? How well does that suit the overall vibe of this? Isn't that like
Yeah, that's
it's
cool.
a tree? Well, so
It would be like from
yes,
here, I
but-
could just think, oh yeah, it's a tree.
Yeah, it looked like just a tree on the web, and then like I got it and I was like, that's absolutely creepy. I'm lucky.
Ready, Elliot?
Mm.
Get out of here, okay? Roscoe, come here. Hey, Roscoe, come here, boy. Good. Come here. Roscoe, come here. Come.
So Josh,
Hey,
hey, so at some point when you area on some Monday night, so we can all do D&D together,
oh yeah.
you will no longer be the person who misses out on.
No.
Every week, Johanna makes us something pretty much. Hey, Matt.
Hi.
Hi.
Is the thing over?
So I'm
No, Aaron was just tormenting me with Cookies Missed.
I'm providing incentive to have a holiday up here, down here, down here.
Tormenting. Aaron is as evil as Sir Robert. Hey, by the way, today is the 13th anniversary of Susan Boyle rocking the world. I just, it came up on Reddit and I
knew
just
that.
rewatched it.
I celebrate this as my 13th birthday.
Something came alive in all of us that day. Oh man, so good. It's just Susan Boyle. She was this. Do you know Susan Boyle, Matthew?
I knew
British.
her enough to have a face pop up when you said the name Susan Boyle.
So
Which is
she
something.
she shows up on the stage and she's a 47-year-old woman, very just normal, very plain looking, doesn't look like a celebrity, just looks like your random average citizen of the rural countryside of England. And they say, "What's the dream?" And she's like, "To be a professional singer." And you see the people, the camera turns to the audience and you see people just kind of rolling their eyes and just being openly contemptuous of the notion that she's going to be a successful pop star. And then she starts singing and she just boom blows away the audience as she sings the "I Dreamed a Dream" from Les Miserables. And you see Simon, he's got his head in his hands, and he just he's just rapturously transfixed by her performance. It was just so powerful, so great.
As of
That's cool.
2021, Boyle has sold 19 million records.
Oh yeah.
Oh, her.
Oh man, she came out
Kind of shallow, but I'm
swinging.
kind of a sucker for people who are like kind of homely with a beautiful voice.
And she has so much pizzazz and personality. They said, "How old are you?" And she said 47. And then she puts her hand on her hip and she starts kind of wiggling her hip. And she's like, "That's just one side of me." And everyone's like, "What? What?" And man, she backed it up. Man, she backed it up.
That seems good for the world. Like, hey,
It does.
there are hidden gems among you.
Dude, the best thing that ever came out of that whole show to me is Cody the guy who's blind and autistic, and he comes up on there on the stage,
Whoa.
and when he talks, he has really, fairly extreme affectation. Not, it's not affectation. There's a significant disconnect between the way that he talks and the way that we would talk. He's like, hey, he's making these kinds of sounds when he talks, and then he starts to sing, and it's just butter smooth. And he's playing the piano, and he gives this incredibly rich, detailed, nuanced, emotionally charged performance, and everybody's just like, boom, mind blown. And I love that somebody with autism got to get up there and show, just because I have autism and just because I struggle to get things out there in a way that you can see doesn't mean there isn't a tremendous amount happening inside. Like I'm a whole person. There's just something in me that makes it difficult to get it out there. And so I loved that he made that point to the world, that autistic people have a way rich, whole human experience happening inside them that far transcends their ability to get it out there. I loved that. So to me, Susan Boyle and Cody are my two favorites. Yeah. You should look him up if you haven't seen his performance. Just look up Cody, America's Got Talent. It's stunning, just stunning. I cried every time he performed.
I very rarely meet anyone who has the ability to convey their deep, rich human experience.
He did, man.
Personally.
Yeah. Well, that's why I play D&D. So
that's right. Get your half-orc experience out there.
That's right. Yep.
Most of them are Russian
ready?
authors.
Yeah.
There were like maybe 10.
So let's jump back in.
All right.
Neno, Inkatink. What's up with you?
I'm guessing it takes us like a good third staring at the wall and at each other before we realize that he's gone and there's nothing we can do about it. And then we not at all dropping hands, because even if Kinku lets go, I will not.
Oh, no. Inkatink's not letting go of you. So I think they're just like iron grip holding on to each other. And if Nino is standing there staring at where Yoshka was, after a few seconds, Inkatink steals himself and pulls on her and tries to head for the exit, because the last thing he wants is for them to get lost in this portal tunnel thing. He wants to get her and himself out the other side.
Okay. So, sorry, I've got a somewhat articulate cat here. Come here. Hey, Kiki.
You want to clear out?
Yeah, you can whip it out the front door, or
Sure.
I can.
I love the video of the guy who's talking to his cat at the top of the stairs, and the cat goes, "What are you doing?" He's like, What? So great. I love the internet.
So, what are y'all doing?
I think
You're gonna
Inkatink
go
is
first, yeah.
kind of gently tugging on Nino's hand. Let's go.
Yeah. As soon as I come to my senses, I am with you and walking,
Okay.
scampering, trotting.
You walk towards the way you know to go. It's really hard to tell in here if you are actually in and if this is actually a here. How long you have been, say, in here. But before too long, you do find yourself walking out in a similar way that you seem to walk in, as the tunnel stops being a tunnel and seems more again like a vortex with the small end behind you and the opening in front. And you walk out into day. The light here is really different. It's a stark contrast from Garatone. You immediately know that you're back in Simdaran. Even before you notice the branched, woody cage and the walled basket around Miradao.
What a relief. Oh, I'm so glad to have come where we intended.
Unlike before, there is no one across. You wouldn't have known this before, but for our listening audience, there is no one sitting watch outside the gate of Miradao. The basket, the town, if you'll recall, has a circular opening with a, not wicker, but this like thickly woven bramble circle shield sort of thing that can roll off and roll up. It is closed. The gate is completely closed. You don't see anyone. You're inside this baskety looking cage around the circle, and the mist made of this black swirling mist that you're used to dissipates. As it does, the forest around you, you can see through the cage that you're in, is the forest that you remember, brighter yellows and greens. There's a sort of fresher and less dank smell. The smell in Garatone is that mixture of wetness and sort of loaminess mixed with an extra strong odor of decay, that foresty sort of richness that also has a little bit of that funny, dirty smell. Here, you don't smell that as much. It's just forest. It's what you remember. The day is fairly bright. You're guessing that it's mid-morning, maybe a little before midday. And here you stand, Inkatink and Menno.
And we don't see anybody in the basket town at all.
Well, you can't see into the town, but there's nobody sitting outside of it, and the wall part is closed.
Right, the circle's right outside. Okay. Shall we yell?
I think you see Inkatink is just kind of staring off into the distance, shaking his head, and you can see that he's angry. Like he is just furious. You can see him pantomiming, slapping Yoshka. You can see him pantomiming, like he's just playing it back in his head. Like, I tried to tackle him. I said, let's go. And you can just see him like running his clawed fingers through his feathers. And he just starts kind of pacing around the basket, and he kind of comes to and looks at Nino and nods his head yes, and starts whistling a loud, shrill whistle.
And she starts hollering in the direction of the basket. We're here. Hello. Garriott, are you here? And then the name of her, I've forgotten now, but the name of the friend she made last time she visited
Urella.
Urella, it's Nino. We're here. Hello.
You don't hear any response, but after 30 seconds or so, you see peeking over the top of the basket, and you'll remember that inside the town, you can walk on a sort of scaffold that was at the top of the basket and also halfway up, say. So there's ways of getting it through. You see that you recognize. Roll me a history check if you want to remember his name, just on a 10.
Um, Nine.
Okay, Inkatink, did you roll or no?
If that's possible, if that's someone
Yeah,
that
you
he
would-
has seen before.
Yeah, he's one of the townsfolk at Miradau.
Yeah, an 11.
Okay, this is Gevel. He's a half orc. He's the town guard and the sort of leader of the town aside from Gary. He's more the sort of civil leader, not the sage of the town. He, runs things practically. He has his head up above and he says, "Who are you? What are you doing?"
I think he cries out the name Garriott. And you see he gets kind of frustrated and flustered because he doesn't quite know what to say. He can't just speak his mind.
Does Nino also remember his name or just Inkatink?
Inkatink turns to Nino and speaks. What was the guy's name again? Sorry,
Gevel.
Gevel, and speaks the name Gevel in the voice of Garriott or whoever he heard address Gevel.
Okay, in that case, I can use his name and I'll shout out, Gevel, it's us. Don't you remember? It's Nino, and this is Inkatink.
Well, then come here to the gate.
Can we get out of the circle? Like, are we caged in the circle?
You're in a cage, but there is a door on it.
Okay, sorry, I thought we were stuck. That was why
That's
I was
all
yelling.
They were they
All right.
were last time.
Okay. Yeah, so,
You try the door, it opens.
okay. I'm happy to walk almost blithely to the door. I do peek over my shoulders as I'm walking, but
It's about 60 feet. It's not very far. It's like across a road type of thing. And in fact, there is actually a road here in front of a dirt path road in front of Miradau. Y'all remember it from being here, but not like there's no special significance to it. You go to it. There's an open area, almost like a cul-de-sac sort of place in front of the town. You go up to the door, and after a good minute, you're hearing rustling and some other sorts of things, and the whole big circular woven door rolls just a little bit. Garriott, you can see his face peering through, and there's a crack only several inches wide, and he says, "Oh, Neno, come on in."
old, sir.
No, oh, Neno. Oh, Neno, come on in. And hearing that, Gevel, that's G-E-V, Gevel, more for big enough for you, but he's clearly not doing it like when you were last year, where they would just leave it open for a period of the day with a guard. Do you go in? Inkatink too?
Yeah.
As you go in, they close it expeditiously behind you. Garriott says, "What are you doing here?"
You called for us. Didn't you call for us?
Call? I did. I didn't know that anyone heard.
Who were you calling for?
Son
Anyone who
of a gun. Inkatink realizes that he doesn't have any gems with him. And just like his fingers pantomime, just throttling the neck. And he just yells, "Yoshka!" in Diamondback's voice.
Well,
He goes like borderline apoplectic. You see him wandering around in a circle. He's just pacing. He's like, he bounces into things and he just turns around. He just keeps walking. You hear barely intelligible speech. You hear a couple of dozen different voices. He's just muttering to himself. He's clearly in a borderline apoplectic rage.
Neno hasn't realized we don't have any stones yet. Can she pick that up from what you're doing?
You could ask him what's going on.
Garriott asks, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. They're going to be here anytime. We need to get out of here. Have you come to help?"
At this point, Neno realizes that they don't have any stones, and her response is just hilarity. She's just doubled over, which makes her quite small, laughing until her belly hurts and her eyes hurt. And she said, "Fat, what a good we've done you, travailing to arrive. We managed to lose the party member that had the exit strategy." Oh, good Garriott. I don't tell you. Yes, we came with intending to have stones to rescue you, and the stones have gone with Aryoshka. You know Aryoshka. He got lost in the vortex, and wants to rescue you. I don't know why we are here.
Oh, well, I do appreciate it. Listen,
I think Inkatink is just literally beating his head against the wall. He's just repeatedly just bashing his head over and over again into the wall of the town.
If
And,
Nino sees this and it looks like he's actually hurting himself, she would come over and do her like hug him from behind and like laugh on his back.
I'm like bash, heal, bash, heal.
Good idea.
I think once she hugs him, it's just such an unfamiliar feeling to him that he just kind of freezes up and freezes, and then eventually he just kind of starts. He just his shoulders drop, his head drops, and he just kind of stands there. And as long as she, hugs him, he just kind of stands there.
at this point, all of the townsfolk have come and are watching this unexpected, sudden burst of emotion and presence here unexpectedly for these two unusual people out of the blue. Standing around you, you see Ralden. He's a human. He and his wife Orla are beet farmers for the town, in the town. They have 2 children. Urella is there with her grandson Orden, whom you rescued. She's a halfling, and he's a demi-halfling. Laren, the weaver, is there as well. You recognize her from before. All of these people you recognize. She seems to weave clothing and tarps. That's her job, and maybe she was also responsible for the wall. It's hard to know, but Gioro is there, her husband, who tends pigs. Alarat is an orc with a human wife, Taral, a lumberjack, and Lumberjoe, and they have 4 children who are half-orcs there, younger children. Garriott's there. Obviously, he's been trading with you. Horan, the leather worker, who's a human. The half-orc Gebel you've met already. You remember from before that he's a widower in the town guard. Tyrio is a halfling. He seems to be a teenager on his own. Does odd jobs, fixes stuff, apprentices to other people. And finally, Faria, a human. She tends the storehouse, grows vegetables and fruit and stuff like that. These are all gathered around you. It's a dozen and a half, 2 dozen people of various sizes, ranging from orc to halfling, watching this gnome hugging a strange bird creature. Some of them remember you now. It's been a little while, and you were here for a relative nights. But you rescued Orden. Urella and Norton clearly recognize you as Tuscariot. Garriott walks over cautiously, understanding that you're distressed, at least. He did not piece together from the burst of energy that just happened what exactly is going on. But he says, now, what's all this talk about stones? And I just don't understand what you're saying.
Garriott, I heard you call. I heard you say they're on their way, something like time is tight, and please bring stones.
Well, they are on their way. Sorry, Roscoe. No, sir. Sorry, he's eating somebody's leftover dinner. Sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. My dog ate the 2 of 3 pancakes that I made this morning. It's going around.
Hey, Roscoe. Hey. He'll just sit here. Sit. Roscoe, sit. Hey, sit. Thank you. Good boy. Okay. He says, oh, I did call for help, and coming they are. Coming they are.
Who's coming?
Sorry. Roscoe. Oh, Roscoe. Good. Hang out there for a minute. He says, with a heavy sigh, Simdaron and all his beasts behind him. Of course, not Simdaron himself, but Spolash and the Oravan.
When the name of Spolash is spoken, Inkatink turns and stares straight at him with just murderous hate in his eyes.
Star was just dealing with his dog for a minute.
That's cool.
And Nino replies to that explanation with, didn't you ask for stones?
Garriott says, oh, well, I've heard from all parts. It looks like the Oravan finished their work. These barrels, and the one barrel he has is still in the center of the town. They've done their work. Looks like some of my suspicions were true. Those of us who are looking for something different than Simdaron, gosh, all the beasts are coming. They're bringing them all to wipe us out. Did you bring any gems?
Inkatink uses minor illusion to show an image of Yoshka, and Yoshka in the image dumps out a backpack, and 60-ish gems flow out of the bag onto the ground, and then it just kind of disappears, and he looks at Garriott and just shakes his head no.
I'm afraid I don't understand. He's on his way? What is...
Yoshka was on his way with us, and he disappeared during the tunnel.
What now? He disappeared?
He walked out of the tunnel, sideways, not out with us, out the wall, and we couldn't follow. And with him went...
But you can't walk out the side of one of them tunnels. Well, I don't know. But I'll tell you. Even if we had stuff, I wouldn't know where to go. I know there's a near Billa, and those people need our help for sure. And there's another one between Patagat and Senarin, and those people need our help for sure. I know where there's a third one, but it's not super close to anywhere. Maybe there's some help, but I don't know. But none of them is safe. I can't.
We have a home outside Cinderon's land. It's not a good home yet, but so far it's secure. And it's big enough for all of y'all, she gestures at the whole crowd. And it's big enough for Billa and Patagat and Cineron people. But we can't get you there. without the
Outside
stone.
Cinderon.
Outside
Where?
Cineron. The land to the north of us. Garatone? It's not a beautiful land. It doesn't have Cinderon's, but it doesn't have Cinderon.
Garatone. I don't know much, but I know the flayed hands of Garatone.
We don't know the flayed hands of Garatone. We don't know what that means. We do know a little bit about the territory. What can you tell us about Garatone?
Well, I can tell you, he ain't better than Cinderon, but he sure as heck ain't worse than Fa.
Inkatink looks at Nino and says, or whatever it is, and then gestures to her and gestures to Garia.
I will assume you successfully mimicked the name of the dragon.
Yes. Yeah. That.
All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult your mother like that. Please forgive me.
Good point, Nano says to Inkatink.
Inkatink rolls his eyes. Inkatink aggressively rolls his eyes like, yeah, good point. That did a lot of good.
And then Nano says, good point to Inkatink, and then says to Garriott, well, okay, with a couple of adventures, Garatone's land, because we've been under the protection of a dragon who a dragon so far, and now we owe him an obligation, but prior to that he felt he owed us an obligation and gave us a pretty secure lair. If we can get stones, we can get you there, we believe, and if we get you there, there's room for everyone.
And Inkatink uses a minor illusion to show an image of the lake and then the water draining out and then a bunch of homes, small black stone homes.
Nice.
Garatone, sorry, not Garatone, Garriott doesn't know exactly what to make of all of this, but he says, I don't think we could make a fast enough walk to get all the way.
Inkatink uses the minor illusion to show the magic circle and then indicates to Nino to explain.
We could if we had stones, we could take you through the circle, but we don't have stones unless we have Yoshka. Is there anything in your arts that could help us find him?
Well, maybe. I'll tell you, I think we got about a day before the beasts come. I'm trying to get us ready, and you can, as he gestures around, you can see the townsfolk have bundled up what little they have to, it's into carryable packages. He says, Well, and he kind of looks sidelong and he whispers towards you, Neno. Inkatink you can hear, but he's clearly whispering just towards Neno and says, let's call it my study. Well, it would be just awful if that came into the hands of anybody from the bell. I sealed it up, and I can't open it for a while. So I can't do much but what I've packed to take with me while we were running. Let me think. Maybe we could figure out some gems, but they sure aren't easy to come by.
Well, let's see what we have. And Neno starts turning out her pockets and looking for. She's got on her like a granite pebble and one like broken and ugly agate, and she puts them on the ground right in front of her. Anybody have anything else? Anything better than this, hopefully? And sees if any of the townspeople would turn out a pocket or chip in a, I don't know, what's up, some other low-grade stone.
2 of the children have little polished rocks. That's about it. A couple of them.
Well, we're up to 4. Where and how could we get any more?
And Garriott chuckles a little bit, sort of wistfully, and says, okay, well, what I know is I got word from a couple of forest creatures that the beasts were in Garoda. You know Garoda, you two?
I'm sorry, do we? Josh's memory isn't as good as Inkatink's.
Fine. You don't. Your characters don't. Both of you. Garoda is the town where Sleem attacked the guards / they attacked her / whatever.
Okay.
Where Davina was studying and got him out of the town.
Oh.
That's what you know.
Okay, got it.
But he says, well, I think they're heading on a circuit. It might be a day. And it's not a good day for us. We need to either leave through the circle or leave by the road. One way or another, we got to get out. Tomorrow, I'd say by sunset at the latest. Well, maybe I ask you this. How do we find Yoshiki?
That's what we were asking you. If you had anything that would.
And I'll tell you real quickly, just in case your characters would probably remember, Toll also had this happen.
But Toll found us.
I'm just saying. You can convey it or not. I'm just
okay.
reminding you that's how you had this experience.
That Toll emerged later, that he was delayed, but he eventually showed up.
I'm just
Yeah,
reminding
I
you.
think so. I think that's how he got back with us. He just kind of walked out of a tree or something. Am I mixing up the?
As you
I mean,
wait for that.
yeah.
Go ahead. I
So
can tell you, or if you remember.
yeah, so Nino is saying this, and Inkatink, his eyes kind of go wide, and he kind of like slaps himself on the forehead, and he's like, "Okay, Okay. And so
What
he's
Yeah.
just,
And what happened is, to remind the players here in the audience, what happened is, as you were on that month-long trip northward towards Oravan, and it was after the false night, and there was not very many. You came upon various kinds of strange, unusual places, and one of them was just a door in a tree. Belvari went up to the door and just opened it, and as he opened, he said, "I'm just going to walk in." He opened the door and walked in as Toll was walking out. When they collided and regrouped, opening the door, it was just a regular sized door with a hole, doorway wide, and about 2 or 3 feet deep of a tree. It didn't go anywhere. It was just a hollow of a tree with a door on it, and he emerged.
So Robert, don't pretend like your world is a good place where good things happen and fortune smiles upon us ever, okay? Don't toy with my emotions.
That's just what happened. I don't make up the news, I just distort it.
Let's just assume Nino remembered that way better than Aaron Joy did. She lived it. She probably remembered it better.
It wasn't very
Yeah.
long.
So Nino tells Garriott that so when we traveled away from you, we lost one of our party members then, but he came back walking out of a tree out of a tree that had a door in it. Maybe our Yoshka come out the same way. Do you know of any trees with doors?
Gosh. I don't even know what you're talking.
Okay.
So
Yes, the old trees with doors possibility. Hope abounds.
If we had remembered one, we would go straight there, right?
So Garriott motions back towards his people and says, "Well, I'm ready. We gotta leave. It's getting toward. It's about midday. It's gonna be towards the end, so we'll stay even. Yoshki can find us, but by tomorrow, no later than nightfall, we need to be. The people go and busy themselves back getting their packs together, trying to figure out what to do with the pigs, trying to figure out what to do with the farm, all their stuff, basically. Meager though it is still all their stuff.
Well, Ingatink, we can't help them pack. And find a miracle.
Neno.
We walk out in the forest.
Yeah.
During the light of the day.
In Diamondback's voice, he says, "Components?"
And Gary, hearing that and has taken several steps away, says, "I packed up some things from my study. Let me see if I can find something that might help us. But I don't know. I've never heard of it about." And that's where we'll end this episode.
Josh, your Matt Diamondback voice is amazing.
Thank you.
It's true. So that's where we'll end this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. I'm assuming you did emotionally.
Yeah, and don't worry, everybody. Everything's going to be fine. A door might open in a tree. This is Sleen. This is the spider eating Sleen all over again. Son of a bitch! That was my angry old Ukrainian grandmother.
Oh, gosh.
So thanks, everybody. Have a great night. You can find out more about this story and the stories we're telling and the collective at the Starfall Have a good night.
Sir Robert, why do you hate your friends so much? They play a nice game with you. You're so mean to them, Sir Robert. Why can't you play nice with your friends? You're a good boy.
Well, I gotta tell you, I am having a great.
Yeah, you are.
I love this storyline. So thanks.
Like a country pastor I once heard say before he was about to give a sermon. He's like, "Oh, this is gonna have fun."
Nice.
I don't think I can stop streaming or whatever. I think Matt has to.
Okay. He popped up a little during the
He will eventually.
so
Mhm.
maybe we can text him and say.
Well, it's about 10, so maybe he'll do it.
So, Jared, when you're driving past a church, do you like get the urge to find a brick and throw it through the stained glass window, or? And I was wondering if it's a natural impulse to destroy beautiful things. I just.
Oh gosh.
Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm just somewhere else right now, John.
I cannot tell you how I think Inkatink was like this close to having a full-on nervous breakdown when he realized
I'll tell you a little later.
that you left with the gems. Oh my word, he was so mad. Hey Matt, everything went well. Don't worry. We still have a feasible campaign structure. It's okay.
Okay,
At least
great.
for next season.
That's right. Basically, they've resolved the major conflict of the story.
Yeah, Cinderon surrendered to us. We now have arcane and legal authority over this territory. So
So should I just stop the stream now? Is it time?